is good, there is evil. And if you're unsure which side you stand on, then chances are it's the wrong one. An enigmatic character created by Steve Ditko for Carlton Comics, who, it should be noted, was a staunch follower of the Randian philosophy of objectivism. The Question is unique amongst comic book heroes, or capes, for its philosophical overtones and ruthless methods. Acquired by DC Comics in 1983 with their purchase of the Carlton characters, The Question was saved from inclusion within Alan Moore's Watchmen when DC Editorial made the choice to save the characters for something else. This led to their creation of Rorschach, who, as a stand-in character, overshadowed The Question for a number of years in the eyes of many fans. And following through on their change of plans for the acquired Carlton characters, in 1987, The Question, helmed by Denny O'Neil and drawn by Dennis Cowan, hit the shelves. Restructuring the character from Ditko's earlier Carlton ethos, the character began to, for the first time, gain some depth that up to that point had been lacking due to the limited use of primarily in backup stories. Gritty realism, a rough feel to Hub City were brought out by Cowan's amazingly heavy-shadowed inks, while O'Neil gave the character a depth of conflict, a mature material to work with within the world created. It stood almost alone in the late 1980s as a darker-toned book dealing with many social and political issues in a very deft manner. It was a book that was ahead of its time with regard to both the audience it was catering to and the message that it had to deliver. Had this style of book been launched under the Vertigo label that would appear just several years later, it would likely have fared much better. As it is, fate is fickle, and after a run of 36 issues, several quarterlies, and several annuals, The Question ended helming his own series. There would be a limited series, some crossover appearances, and a very forgettable New 52 reskin. But for the most part, The Question, in comic form, was relegated to backup and support status. With the halcyon days of Vertigo as only a memory, the hopes for many for a truly respectable relaunch of The Question were all but dashed by 2018. Then, DC Black Label emerged, taking up the mantle of risk that had been placed aside by Vertigo, essentially since the original editor-in-chief, Karen Berger, had left. Hope was almost immediately renewed amongst Question fans as Batman Damned #1 hit the shelves. Again, fates would prove to be fickle, however, as the adult tones of the book created a controversy, and all further Black Label releases would be delayed for months as the fallout settled upon the nascent brand. With the release of a much more muted and toned-down Batman Damned 2 and 3, the outcry for a new standalone Question series had mostly died down. That is, until The Question, The Death of Vic Sage, was announced in July of 2019. Out of all of the releases of DC Black Label up until January of 2020, The Question, The Death of Vic Sage, Book 1, is the first to really spread the wings of possibilities for what can be done with the Black Label brand. With writer Jeff Lemire at the helm and Dennis Cowan returning to the character for pencils, the O'Neil-era grit still drips from every page. Bill Sikanovich's inks offer a bit of a heavy-handed approach to Cowan's lines, but fortunately do not take anything away from the atmosphere that is so artfully poured across the page. The question in this miniseries is a carryover of O'Neill's and Ditko's. Vic Sage continues to be less the philosopher of Ditko's early Carlton works, with the more mystical aspects from the O'Neill run taking a forefront. However, the commitment to the cause that all respected versions of the character share is evident right out of the gate. While not comparable to the risks taken in O'Neill's original run with the opening issue, it is nonetheless hitting the marks that the fans have longed for this character to receive, spreading the wings of an engaging story that makes one look forward to the next installment of this 4-part series. The Norse semblances and surrealist qualities that marked the majority of O'Neill's run are all here, and in some ways expanded upon very positively as they reach out from around the edges of a multi-layered story that is crafted exceptionally well by Lemire. The corruption, vile underworld, and harsh realities of the terrors that occur on the fringes of the decadent hub city are all vibrantly exposed with revolting clarity, especially within the first few pages. As the question, justice is doled out with extracting, uninhibited violence. As reporter Vic Sage, the truth is used as a scourge to those who would obfuscate it. The duality of the character exhibited with the singular driving thrust. Lemire really strikes an excellent and respectful chord to O'Neill's style with almost no exception, while at the same time weaving an elegant story that involves the traditional characters referenced in the Carlton Ditko run. While likely not in the vein of what many would expect from a modern book, the arc here is slowly rolled out, forcing the reader to pay attention to minor details offered up as hints in the dialogue, and especially in Cowan's backgrounds and lines. The Death of Vic Sage finds the question just as dangerous as O'Neill left him, and is a beautiful homage to the starkness of Ditko's creation. There is black and there is white. There is no room for gray in this book. It is a refreshing reminder of what is possible when risks are taken outside of trope characterizations or woke political wrangling. And it is a shame upon DC that risks such as these are only currently taken within the Black Label brand. I give this book a solid 8 out of 10 for most readers, and a high 9 for any fan of Ditko's uncompromising character, The Question. I am Aldous on the Farm, and I'd like to thank you for listening. May you discover stories that only improve with each page turn. Please like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notification. Until next time.